I have a personal interest, in this whole subject. I'm not a hibakushan, that is a Japanese word for survivor of the atomic bombing. But as I said, I have a personal interest because my father came from Otake, which is a city right outside Hiroshima, and it's about 24 miles from the center of the city, and you can drive it in about 25 minutes. My relatives were not affected by the bomb because they were far enough away. But, it had a tremendous impact on the whole population. On that day, 60 to about 70,000 died. Now, we don't know the exact number, and of course, many more were to perish because of radiation sickness. In fact, it is estimated that perhaps as many as 100,000, so total, perhaps about 200,000 Japanese perished because of the atomic bombing. So it's a day to remember in terms of acknowledging, recognizing the death of these individuals. But from the very beginning, the event, this historic day, took on the symbolism of peace and anti-war. And ever since then, the Japanese have suffered from what is called nuclear allergy. They're against nuclear warfare. As I said, besides that personal connection, I also have professional interest in the subject matter because I retired as a political scientist, and I was always interested in the peace movement and the anti-war, anti-nuclear movement. And it all began, was given the impetus by the atomic bombing of Hiroshima. In terms of the legacy, it's quite obvious. It's 81 years since the bombing, but the peace movement in Japan is still vibrant. Not what it used to be before, but it's still there and plays a very important part in Japanese politics. When you look at the world as a whole, Japan probably is the most pacifist country. If you can talk about a pacifist nation, Japan is it. It's the only country that has formally renounced the use of war as an instrument of the state. No other country in the world has made that kind of statement. And that's the legacy of this Hiroshima bombing. So, of course, you say, well, doesn't the Japanese have an armed force? Yes, they do. But you notice that they're very careful in saying that it's a self-defense force. But, presently, a big controversy in Japan is that there are many that want to turn their armed force into an offensive capable force, not just limited to self-defense. So all of this is part of the legacy of the atomic bombing. I'd just like to make another comment in terms of this legacy. And, you have seen slides, photos of what is Hiroshima Memorial Plaza looks like. They will be celebrating on August 6th. Now, You say, well, why are we talking about it in August today, August the 2nd? Well, it so happens that August the 6th is a Thursday, and for convenience, we want to celebrate it on a weekend. But on August 6th, at 8:15, precisely at that time, church and temple bells will be ringing. Siren will go off. Then there will be a minute of quiet. The whole city comes to a stop. Then after a minute, it ends. At that time, now you wonder why 8:15? Well, that's when the B-29 came over the city and dropped the bomb. At that time, at 8:15, the ceremony, the peace ceremony, begins at the Peace Plaza. It's a very short and simple ceremony. It begins with the declaration of the registry, the listing of the names of all the victims of the bombing, and then there is an address given by the main speaker, and then there's a releasing of pigeons, doves. They are the symbol of peace, dove. So you have all the doves flying out, and then there's a time of prayer. Usually, you always have international guests, and they are introduced, and some of them give short remarks. The whole ceremony then ends with the singing of the Hiroshima peace song, which was specifically written for this event. That ends the ceremony. So it's very short and simple, but this celebration has become worldwide. So what started off as a remembrance of the victims turned from the very beginning to being a celebration of peace and anti-war. And today, the theme of peace is the overwhelming one worldwide. I'd like to end my remarks by referring to the story of Sadako Sasaki that you already heard about. And her picture, as I understand, is in front of the entrance to the social hall. I won't go into detail because you already heard about it, and some of you may have read about her story. But she was a 2-year-old toddler. On that day when the bomb was dropped, she survived. And, after about 10 years, she was told that she had leukemia and she will soon die. Well, she was very crushed by this, in utter despair, until someone told her that if she folded 1,000 paper crane, the Japanese word is tsuru, then she will get her wish. And her wish, of course, was to live further and to join her teammate on the sport team. That was her wish. So, she got energized, and every morning she'll get up and start folding this paper crane. The Japanese word, it's origami. folding of paper to form different shapes. The tsuru is a traditional symbol in Japan of longevity and success. In fact, today in Japan, you often see these tsuru, 1,000 of them, as a decorative thing at the weddings, for example. So by tradition, the tsuru is supposed to live for 1,000 years. Of course it doesn't, but it's a symbolic thing. It's just meant to be longevity, a symbol of longevity. So when she heard that by folding 1,000, that she'll get her wish, she really got energized. So every morning she would start, although in pain and not really feeling good, she started to fold. But she soon died. There is a discrepancy in the story. According to the book, written, by the way, by an American, and some of you may have read the book, she did not complete folding 1,000 cranes. She did 644, and her friends finished it up. Well, according to the family, she did fold over 1,000. In fact, she folded 1,400 cranes. So I tend to believe the family story. So, when the Japanese people heard about Sadako, they were touched. I mean, here this girl, in pain, yet she continued to fold paper cranes. She persevered. She was determined to achieve her goal, her dream. And, it just touched the Japanese people, and the tsuru became a symbol of peace. So that is why I think when we go over to the social hall, you'll see the folding of tsuru. Now, you saw it on the screen, and here's one that one of our members of the coalition folded. And by the way, she teaches origami at Taipan restaurant. But here it is, you see. Now, usually it's in a red paper, but this is multicolored. So, as I say, this is a symbol of longevity. Can you imagine this girl folding this day after day? So this is important. Like we have the dove as a symbol of peace, the tsuru is also a symbol of peace. And if we have a goal that is important, like peace, world peace, then we should make an effort to, work toward this. If anything is precious for you, and it's a goal that you want to achieve, then you will put all your effort. And this is the story of Sadako, that we all today have certain goals. And if one of them is like, the ideal of world peace, then it's worth the effort. If it is precious, it's worth our utmost care. So we have August 6, 1945, the atomic bombing of Hiroshima, a day to remember. How nice. Thank you.